But when I first did a show, I never even had seen other been to a festival or done all that. The first time at a festival was me actually performing.
Probably the fact that you were a minor.
Welcome to Access All ARIAs as part of ARIA Week presented by Mitsubishi Motors. Well, first off, I'd like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay my respect to elders, both past and present. I'm with KIAN and Tash Sultana. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hey.
Do you guys want to take turns telling us a bit about where you were when lockdown started and when it became clear that gigs weren't going to be an option for 2020?
My partner and I just got engaged when we planned to go to the Maldives for a surf trip for our engagement. And then it was perfect. Thank you. It was perfect. And I knew something was up. It was just like, something was off. It was just such a good time that we had. But yeah, we came back just a couple of days before they closed all the international borders, and we just missed out on having to quarantine when we came back home.
KIAN?
To be honest, when it all sort of started unfolding, I was sort of in the middle of doing sessions. I was in LA for a little bit, and I was in Auckland for a little bit too. I think I managed to get back home, I think just before the international borders all closed. So yeah, I've just been in Sydney for the last 7 months, just sort of chilling here, trying to do as much stuff as I can. But I've been asked to do a show which I'm doing on the 21st of November. So nice little 50-person seated show, which should be interesting because I've never had to experience that before. So I'm gonna have to relearn a lot of things, I feel like.
You should find comfort in the fact that we all fucking feel the same way, bro. Yeah. I don't think anyone knows how to play a show at the moment, to be fair.
Yeah. Have you had any silver linings to music plans being put on hold?
I was finding myself like I just felt everything was moving so fast. The fact I've been able to just sit down and actually relax for a little bit and just think and feel inspired, it's sort of helped me to re-spark my own vision. So yeah.
Everywhere has handled it differently. Everyone has a different opinion on it. But personally, what I've taken from it is like, I've done a lot of self-reflection this year and it needed to happen. I've had a lot of grounding this year that needed to happen. I needed to go home. I needed to sleep in my own bed. I needed to spend time with my partner and my dog and my parents and all that shit, and see my grandparents, because you don't get back time.
How do you think we will bounce back from this?
It's never going to be the way that it was before, which is really scary. A lot of bigger acts are going to have no choice but to go back and do some smaller venues just to play the gigs. I think it's going to be a matter of heaps of multi-plays in smaller venues. And the fact that we can even get some gigs going within, the last 6-7 months is really positive.
This is going to be have to just be new ways of doing it. And I think people are just going to have to learn not to complain too much about it and just live with that.
Just do a multiplay in a small venue. It'd be awesome. 7 days straight in a 100 cap room, or, 7 days straight in a 500 cap room. I'm down for it.
Okay. Tash, you were just 21 when Jungle came out. What advice do you have for KIAN, who as a teenager already is tasting success as an artist?
All your songs so far are way better than Jungle, so I don't have any. Writing songs when you're 14 years old that are really good, and then they're getting better as you get older. So it's just a testament to you. You just got a good thing going on, and now you're 18 and you're writing these songs and people are just like, whoa, this dude's 18, what the fuck? So think about when you're 20 or 22, 24, 26, something gonna get better.
Yeah.
KIAN, you would have been just starting high school when Tash's career took off. Do you remember what you were doing in 2016?
I don't even know. I was probably listening to music, being quiet, probably playing basketball. I didn't think I was going to be a musician. I didn't think I was going to write songs, because I think back then, if someone had told me that I'd be here right now, I probably would have just laughed at them and thought they were taking a piss. So, yeah.
Tash, what's the difference between your songwriting inspirations as a teenager versus your inspirations now?
I don't know. I was just really stoned back then. and now I'm not.
The clarity.
The answer is clarity.
KIAN, do you feel as you're getting older and leaving your teens that your inspirations are changing?
I don't know. I think back then I was very hard on myself. I think now I sort of allow myself to be able to just make stuff. It's sort of like letting go a little bit and just sort of being creative. I feel like back then I was just starting to get a bit anal on myself about everything, and it was very hard. It was sort of putting myself into a little box. Whereas now I feel like I can do everything, which is fun.
How does a song form for each of you in the composition process? Is it a collaboration or is it a solitary one?
I did everything solitary up until more recently, because I just wanted to purely see how far I could go on my own with nobody else. And then I was kind of like, I did a couple of collabs and some features with some people, and I really enjoyed it. And now I love it so much that, I'm going to start writing some stuff for other artists.
I can play a little bit of guitar and other things, but I'm not completely the most talented musician ever. So it does help having other people that around me who can spark new ideas for me and show me new things. I don't know I was going to ask you this, Tash, if doing everything yourself felt like you were putting an enormous amount of pressure on your shoulders to get everything done, or if it was just the easiest, most swift.
My own time, my own space, my own studio, whatever the fuck I want. No arguments, because no one can argue with me. So, but I just I got a million ideas all the time. Like I just got so many songs that I've never released or that will never be released. So many songs that I have ended up releasing that I almost put in the bin because I thought they were shit. And sometimes they end up being big tracks. And like the track that you think is the best one you've done, no one cares. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Tash, you started off performing as a busker in the middle of the CBD, whereas KIAN, you were performing in remote Indigenous Australian communities from a young age. These are pretty much polar opposites, but can you both tell us a bit how that experience shaped your view on music?
That's a common misconception there, where people think that I started out busking, because I actually didn't. I kind of like KIAN. I actually started out playing shows when I was 13. So I had a fake ID and it said that I was a little bit older than what I actually was. And I did every single open mic night in Victoria that I could possibly do. And I did every single gig that I could possibly do, whether there was no one there, whatever. Like I did the gig. And, a lot of these venues, they fucking knew that I wasn't 18. Like they knew, but they didn't care. They just let me in anyway. And that's what I would do every night, pretty much every single night after school. I played a gig and then I went to school the next day. And I only started busking when I finished school because I refused to get a job because I didn't like the idea of working for somebody else and conforming to society. Because I thought, what a waste of my life to live by somebody else's design.
KIAN?
I don't know, like what you're saying about traveling around to Indigenous communities within Australia. I think it was lucky I got to see a lot of people perform. I think seeing that and seeing people be able to express themselves in that way was definitely, it enabled me to find my own way of expressing myself.
Gorgeous. How does it feel to be nominated? We're getting to the ARIA chunk of the questioning. How does it feel to be nominated for an ARIA?
Really nice. I wasn't really expecting a nomination, to be honest. So it was a nice little surprise one morning.
I'm very grateful. I know there's so many R&B soul artists that are coming up in Australia who are so talented. So I think I feel very lucky that I was I didn't even know that I was seen as someone who was worthy of being nominated. So yeah, it felt pretty good.
Tell us a little bit about your album or the release and what it means to you.
It was meant to come out in May, then June, then July, and August and September, and then October. And then we just said the year is fucked. Everything is fucked. What a shit year to drop an album. Unless you're like Taylor Swift and you kind of just can do whatever the fuck you want. We moved it to next year. So it's all good to go. But
Yay.
Twiddling my thumbs now. Like, how much clean can you do in a day just to fill the void of life?
What about you, Kian? Do you want to talk about, you can talk about your nominated song or upcoming songs, whatever you feel like.
I want to say that I'll definitely have a project out in the first half of next year. I can't say anything about it because I actually don't even know myself. It's going to be a little bit of everything sort of together. So I don't know. I don't even know. All that stuff, sound and everything is sort of just dissipating. Everything's sort of coming together. So I don't know how you feel about this, Tash, but I feel like genres are slowly sort of not becoming as much of a thing.
I am definitely
in some ways
not a genre-based artist at all.
Yeah. So it's good. I feel like when people ask me what genre I am, I find it's like the most difficult question in the world to actually.
You don't need to be a genre-based artist, dude. You can just write whatever you want. And if it's true from within, you'll always be really happy with it. And 100%. I reckon you have a bright, wonderful future ahead. And if you would like to come into my studio at any moment, hit me up.
You're in Victoria, obviously. We'll make a shit TikTok video together.
Please do some dances. Thank you so much, Tash Sultana and Kian, for jumping on this panel today, and best of luck at the ARIAs for you two.
Thank you. Thanks so much.